Ole'Pops here. As if we couldn't get enough rain, we got clouds a building back behind us, and it looks like it's fixing to blow up another storm on us. I see the sun trying to peek through, you know, the rays that kind of break through, that kind of give you the little shimmer of hope. But it's all dark and gloomy, pushing in on it. They're calling for thunderstorms. Gracie's already texted me from work saying that it's moving in towards her. I gotta pick her up later on tonight. Just thought I'd get on here and chat with you a little bit. Been a pretty interesting morning. Hagen's inside. I'm smoking some cabbie mixture. Samuel Gow. In an almost flawless 1950s model Kiko, leather wrapped, that I got during the Briar Dude and Cherry on Top and my venture to see our mystery man back a few months ago. He has recently passed away. Do you ever stop and wonder how far back you could remember? Just test your mind, relax, and see how far back you could remember. Of course, a lot of y'all know that my Julie darling's got Alzheimer's. She has no problem remembering things from 30, 40 years ago, even 50 years ago. But she has a hard time remembering things that happened as early as, like we watched a movie last night with Jimmy Stewart and Broken Arrow was the movie. She'll have a hard time remembering that. What's his name? Chandler, Jeff Chandler. She'll have a hard time remembering that. It made me stop to consider how far back my memories would reach. So, without the help of hypnosis or drugs or anything, I sat back in my chair the other night and was thinking back far, far back. I remember my mama saying, Oh, he was the best baby. He was the best baby. She had 3 children, 3 boys. Y'all knew that about me. I got 2 brothers, an older and a younger brother. Joe and Dan. Dan being the oldest, and Joe being the youngest. She always said I was the best baby. She used to say at feeding time or at bedtime, she could feed me and lay me down and I'd go right to sleep. She always said to others that they'd have to rock the other ones to sleep. I sat back and I got to meditating back to see how far I could drift back in my mind. I remember my grandmother used to say I was a fat little baby. So I got to drifting back in my mind. Here comes the rain right now. There it comes. I remember my grandmother used to saying I was a fat little baby. And I got to drifting back in my memory. I remember my mama feeding me a bottle and laying me down in the bed. Me trying to get up. Being so fat, I rocked myself to sleep trying to get up. You never know till you start remembering these things. I tell you what, though, you never get too old to learn something stupid. Remember, a video or two ago, I was telling y'all about this medical evaluation that our primary care does once every 2 or 3 years. I said they did it every year, but it ain't every year. It's once every 2 or 3 years, and they cover everything. They go through all of it. Well, they end up sending us a written report at the end of it. I always pitch it in the garbage, but I do read it. I read it for giggles. I get about halfway through it and I start laughing at it and then throw it away. But what it boiled down to, they said that I lacked passion and incentive. Lacked passion and incentive. Now that, I guess that was the opinion of the little old lady that was doing the interview. They never saw me alone with a plate of hot wings. Vapor, Virginia and Perique. I'm developing a taste for Virginia and Periques. Of course, Ole'Pops is a burley lover. But Oberg and Lester Skinner and P.T. Daly and Cherry on top have gotten me experimenting with Virginias. And Lester gifted me a small sample of, well, now I say small sample, it was a healthy little sample of Samuel Gallus St. James Flake the other day, which is a vapor. And of course, it ain't the first vapor I've smoked. Dan, the Briar dude, let me smoke a vapor that he bought from Sutliff, and I enjoyed it. But it's been quite a little ride with these vapors, and I ran into this the other day when I dropped him. His car wouldn't start, and I went over and picked him up, took him to work, and was on that side of town. So I went by the humidor and picked me up some pipe cleaners. Had a few pipes I needed to clean. I was out of cleaners, and I stopped by there, and they just happened to have this, and I'd heard everybody's complain about how hard it was to get, so I just grabbed me a tin of it while I had the cash. So far, this is a love affair. Anyway, me and Jelly Darling was sitting in there last night watching that movie with Jeff Chandler and Jimmy Stewart at Broken Arrow. Had Jay Silverheels, I Walk Away, playing Geronimo. Anyway, Gracie texted me and said that Skater was coming to pick her up from work, so I didn't have to get out. They come in. He said he had a question for me. He wanted to know what I knew about Scientology. And I asked him, I said, Scientology? You mean like Scientology, the religion? And he said, yeah. And I told him, I said, well, I know that it was big here a while back in Hollywood. And I told him, I said, if Ole'Pops ain't mistaken, I think it's a lot like proctology. And Gracie looked up, she said, proctology? She said, isn't proctology, that's not religion? And I said, no. But they're both a load of shit. And anyway, me and Jilly earlier today went to Walmart and get a few groceries. They got a superstore not too far from where we live. One thing I can say about this cabbie mixture, it's hard to get lit, but once you do get it lit, it stays lit pretty good. Anyway, we finally got everything we was looking for. Went through the register, and there sat this cashier, or stood cashier. She had on a little blue smock, but underneath her smock she had on a t-shirt. Had the words "Fight for Peace." I guess it was the expression on my face. Maybe it said a little more than I intended for it to say. Maybe she read a little more into it than what I meant for it to say. But she made some kind of little snide comment about the expression on my face. So I told her, I said, I don't want to speak against your freedom of expression, sweetie, but you know, far be it for Ole'Pops to rain on your parade, but it's about a redundant thing to say. And she said, why? I said, well, think about it. Fight for peace. It's about like saying screw for virginity. I mean, think about it. Anyway, she didn't say much to me after that, but Jilly darling went over to the restroom. This girl finished checking out our stuff and I paid. I got to thinking it was taking Jilly a little longer than it should in the bathroom. So I pushed the buggy on around to the magazine rack and I was standing there reading the article in the magazine. Article about, it's just a short clip about the English language. I've made reference to how English language is one of the most highly bastardized languages in the world. We've got this $50 word in our language, sesquipedalianism. It's a $50 word that means you got a fetish for big words. Only in the English language. Well, this article was about folks that had a fetish for little bitty words. Somebody needs to tell me why. The word monosyllabic, that's monosyllabic, that's it, monosyllabic. Why does the word monosyllabic have 5 syllables in it? Y'all ever heard of that word, monosyllabic? Why's it got 5 syllables in it? You know what it means? It means it's somebody that likes 1-syllable words. Monosyllabic. Only in the English language. 1-syllable words. And they refer to them with a 5-syllable word. Woo! Then underneath that, well, under two or three pages back, there was another article talking about how the average person in the United States has sex. The average person has sex 89 times a year. 89 times a year. Is that you? Oh, Pop's just thinking, I'm about to do for a real good day. Or a real stressful day, one or the other. One of those stressful days where you wake up screaming. only to realize that you hadn't even been to sleep yet. Anywho, bullet rye. Hey, I'll tell you folks that I have added deep knee bends to my exercise regimen. I sure have. Deep knee bends. Yeah. I put the bullet rye on the bottom shelf of the liquor cabinet. Sweet bullet rye. The cause and the solution to most of life's problems. Anyway, we got home and I went to take Hagen outside, let him use the bathroom, and I noticed there was a skunk playing in our backyard. So I went inside and I got my BB gun. And I fired a warning shot into his head. That did the trick. Then I walked Hagen into the front yard. Buzzards ought to be through with him by Wednesday of next week. Anyway, I'm Ole'Pops. Y'all have a good night.